All right, I'm going to spend some time showing you how to make a circle into a sphere by shading and using a light source. This is pretty circular. If you have if you have a circle tool, grab one. If you don't, you can find something that's circular that you can trace. You might want to start small and then get bigger. I've got two different pencils in my hand and a kneaded eraser. We can start there. If you use a normal pencil, I'd recommend kind of pre-planning where a light source is going to be. Let's say you have a sunshine here, or a light bulb, or some sort of light source that's going to direct light onto your circle. I'm going to take one of my circles from my circle tool, and I'm only going to draw the back side of it about 3/4 of the way. And I'm doing that because you can visually connect the rest of the circle if you do this well. If you get stuck or if you don't like that, you can also just draw a little very light edge right here. That edge should probably fade away if you're shading it well, so you don't see it at all. And then we're going to spend some time shading. Now, I don't like to use my fingers to smudge. I like to just take my time and just make a smooth and gradual blend with this sphere. So I'm going to transform the circle into a ball and just gradually shade it. Notice how I'm not going on the side. I'm not smudging with my fingers. I'm just taking my time to add a light tone to it. And if you're doing it well, you should not see any pencil scribble marks when you're all done. Right now we're kind of building up the layers. I'm using a nice paper that has a nice tooth to it so it can add more layers. I'm using just a number 2 pencil right now just to start. And if you're worried about pressing too hard, slide your fingers back. Use more of a wobble method where you're just lightly wobbling. I'm still in control, but I'm wobbling the pencil on the paper to barely create any kind of marks to blend it through so that I'm nice and light. And I can do that kind of all over the whole sphere and work my way backwards and blend it in. The key is going to be to make a smooth, gradual shift from light, which is the closest part to the light source, a lightish area, and gradually fade it into dark. Now, right now I'm not doing that. Right now I have a dark side and a light side. So I'm going to have to blend that more in to the middle, like you're seeing, and then make my dark side a little bit darker. This whole time I'm just building up layers, and some people like to go in a certain direction or follow the shape of the sphere. If you're just slowly building up the layers, it should blend together nicely. I want to get rid of the outline that I originally made, so I'm going to try to blend that in so I don't see any outline and keep going from there. Now I still have a dark and a light. I still got to fade that away. And then some of you are saying, well, if you keep making it darker and darker, then you're not going to have this light edge anymore on the edge of the ball, and it's going to get too dark. And you're right, that could happen if I press too hard, if I don't wobble in here, if I keep blending it and I keep having to go darker because I make mistakes. This kneaded eraser is nice because if you do get too dark, you can play with it for a little bit, stretch it, pull it, but it's used to really just pick up by dabbing some of the dark areas. This is kind of extreme, I normally wouldn't do this. And you get all that pencil mark on there, and you just pull it and stretch it and knead it in so you can dab up more of the areas. You're not using it like a typical eraser where you're scrubbing with it, but you're just using it to lighten up certain areas. And then I'm feathering in. Again, I'm using the wobble method. Look at how far back I'm holding my pencil to wobble and fill in some of those areas so I don't see any smudgies or I don't see any big blobs of color. And I'm just kind of blending it in. This outline here would have to get blended in to make it a little bit smoother of an edge. I don't want to see any lines. I want to keep blending those and smoothing it in so it's nice and shaded. Now I think I could go even darker on the back. The goal is to try to get as dark as you can get without like really pressing hard. We don't want to go really hard and press and ruin your pencil or ruin the quality of the paper. You just want to keep building up the layers to get as dark as you can go without pressing too hard. Now your number 2 pencil is capable of getting dark, but you may want to switch to a softer lead or the ebony pencil that you might have to be able to apply a little bit more graphite down without having to press too hard. And you're going to get a darker tone here to really beef up that shadowy area. And then again, I'm wobbling it. I'm just building up those layers. I'm not smudging it with my fingers because we don't want it to look dirty. I'm just blending up those layers. And then I can add a shadow that's opposite the light source, depending upon what time of day or where the light is, if it's in front of the ball or kind of behind it. I can help start to feather this and blend that outward to create more of a 3D looking sphere. If I need to have a lighter tone, I can grab this pencil and help lighten it up so it's not so dark as we go back behind it. And add more of the shadow here. Let it feather out like that. So again, the goal is to try to get that outline to be blended in, to go from as dark as you can get to as light as you can get in a smooth, gradual blend from dark to light, and to create really a nice looking three-dimensional object on a flat surface.